we're here located at the beautiful Caribe Resort in Orange Beach, Alabama. My name is Sarah, and we're here with Ben from Lake Black Shear Ballooning. And can you tell us what we're doing here in a balloon?
Absolutely. We're just thrilled to be back at Caribe again. We've got our balloon inflated. We're doing what we call static inflation. This close to the beach, we're not able to actually fly, but we're tied down and letting all the guests and all the people coming by take a look at it. And so the balloon is inflated with hot air. The air inside the balloon is hotter than the air outside of it, and so the heat rises, and so the balloon has risen into the air. And we're about 7 stories tall right now, just hanging out with our friends at Caribe.
Yeah, so this balloon is one of your several balloons, and its name is the Seasons balloon, right?
Yeah, so this is Seasons. It was originally built in 1987. It has a sun, a pumpkin, a daisy, and a snowman on it. And so we have this one. She has a twin sister who's a little bit smaller, and then actually the 4 figurines on the side of the balloon were turned into special shaped balloons. So there's a giant sun, a giant daisy, a giant pumpkin, and a giant snowman as well.
So we are here in the Gulf Coast enjoying this nice breezy weather. Here at the Gulf Coast we have the Hot Air Balloon Festival, which we thoroughly enjoy, and you are a frequent flyer there.
We are. We actually started coming about 12 or 13 years ago. And we've been the Caribe Balloon for quite some time. My family and I, we originally lived out on Perdido Key. We moved home about 7 years ago to Southwest Georgia, and it's the highlight of our year to come back and to get to spend a long weekend at Caribe and flying balloons across the area.
Perfect. So with the Caribe, what are some of your favorite things to do on the Gulf Coast while you're here visiting with the balloons?
So we rarely do we come down here where we don't hit Cobalt for a good meal. We love that. We love the Gulf right across the pass from here. You can't go to the Gulf Coast without some good seafood. We love, our 8-year-old son absolutely loves to, we call it pool hopping, go from pool to pool to pool throughout all the buildings. And just all the neat things you're able to do, the putt-putt golf and going to the beach and parasailing and things like that. There's never a dull moment around here.
Mm-hmm. I bet they'll be excited when the newly renovated amenities like the upper deck area is going to be super nice.
Absolutely. We enjoy the upper deck pool this morning.
All right, so what got you into ballooning? I know you started when you were young.
So I was 11 years old. My dad was a naval aviator, and when he retired, he became the president of the Chamber of Commerce down in Tampa, Florida. They put on a balloon event very similar to the one that happens here at the Gulf Coast. And so I've always been big for my age, and they saw ballast, and so they invited me to come out and crew for the balloons, and the first time I saw them, I just fell in love. And so I got my student license at 14, my private at 16, my commercial at 18. And the rest, as they say, is history. We go all over the world. We've been to Ecuador, we've been to Canada, all over Mexico, all over the United States, to Europe. And it's kind of a family affair, not only our close little family, but our family of friends all over the place, and we meet up. Every year we go to the largest balloon festival in the world out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's about 750 balloons all flying at the same time. And so it's been a wonderful hobby that started all the way back when I was a little kid.
So how many people minimum? I see, there's the 3 of us here, and then there's the gentleman holding the balloon in the back. Is that like the minimum number to handle a balloon? You
can do it with a pilot and 1 person. Pilot and 2 is ideal. A pilot and 4 or 5 is wonderful because that's less work for everybody. You'll find some pilots will have 1 crew and they're always looking for people. And then you have other pilots that always have a huge posse with them. And they're the ones that usually have the better stuff in their cooler, and they're a lot more fun to hang out with. And so I've learned that the more fun you make it and the better drinks you have in the cooler for after the flight, the larger your crew is and the less work everybody has to do.
There you go. So how heavy would you say the balloons are?
So this balloon, the whole we call the bottom end, which is the burners down, the burners, the fuel tanks, the fuel, the wicker basket, it's about 450 pounds. The fabric part of it's about 275 pounds. This balloon holds 90,000 cubic feet of air. So if you think of a cubic foot is about the size of a basketball. So you can put 90,000 regulation basketballs inside this balloon. Whoa. This is a pretty normal size one. Now we still have Sunny Boy, which is just like the sun on the side of the balloon. He comes to the Gulf Coast every year. Sunny Boy is about 175,000 cubic feet of air, and he weighs about 1,000 pounds.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, so it's a lot of work. Sunny Boy takes a crew of about 10 or 15 people to do.
So what is the biggest balloon you've ever done? Would it be Sunny Boy?
So actually Sunny Boy's sister, Miss Daisy, she was actually a little bit bigger. She was 210,000 cubic feet of air and weighed right at 1,200 pounds. Oh, wow. That was a lot of balloon. Miss Daisy actually lives over in China now. A business owner over in China fell in love with it and bought it. And, we were sad to see her go, but not sad to not have to lift her around anymore.
A nice workout.
Yes.
cowbells, yes.
More cowbell. We always need more cowbell.
Always need more cowbell. So now, how safe would you say hot air ballooning is?
So we tell people all the time that ballooning is actually the safest form of aviation. So ballooning started well before the Wright brothers and Kitty Hawk. It was back 1783 in the Champagne region of France. Every year, if you look at the per number of flights, per number of passengers, ballooning is always the safest form of aviation, way better than general aviation or commercial aviation, things like that. We believe in redundancy. We take 2 fuel tanks instead of 1. We actually have 4 burners. So within this burner, there's actually 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's 4 separate, so if anything goes wrong, if this burner and this fuel tank go, I can cross these hoses over.
Okay.
And people think all the time, oh my gosh, if you get a little tear in the balloon, what's gonna happen? This balloon, you can have a tear in it that's 4 or 5 feet, a gaping hole, and you're gonna have fuel efficiency problems. You're gonna come down quick, but you're not gonna just fall to the ground. It's gonna be a controlled descent, and we're gonna get down and we're gonna find a safe spot to get into, something like this, a nice grassy area or a parking lot.
Okay, cool, so relatively safe.
Relatively safe.
You said champagne. Is that why after your first flight they usually have a bottle of champagne?
Absolutely. So ballooning actually started in, like I said, in the Champagne region of France. And so what happened was in the 1780s, these French farmers, they'd see this big balloon coming down with these fields and they thought they were aliens from the sky. They'd never seen anybody fly before. And so they'd come out with pitchforks and they'd pitchfork the balloon to death. And they realized really quickly, this is gonna be a really expensive hobby if we have to build a new one after every flight. So they came up with what could we do to prove to these countrymen that we're French too? And so they started carrying French wine, which we call champagne, in it. And so they would say, look, we're French, we're human. And they'd give a bottle of champagne to the landowners. And so that's become the tradition. We carry champagne with us as a gift to the landowners. And so what we try to do is land places where we already know the landowners, so we don't have to give the champagne away, we can just drink it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here at the Caribe Resort in Orange Beach, Alabama. We've loved having the balloon here on display for all the owners and guests to enjoy. And of course, we're glad you enjoyed your time here on property as well.
Absolutely, we had a great time and we look forward to coming back soon.
Perfect, we'll hopefully see you next year.
Absolutely.